Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
Hello and welcome to the weekly DENDAO governance call. It is April 14th and I am Dave and I'm here with Joe, and we're going to talk about DEN and go through what updates we can, talk about the LCP that's happening now. The committal phase is open. We'll check out how that's going on and talk about all the new DAO stuff that's happening and onboarding some new ones and things like that. So good afternoon for me anyway, Joe. Happy lunchtime for you. How are you today? How's it going? How's your week?
I am good. Everything is good. Things are going well.
Yeah, same here. Busy, tired, but
yes,
you know, in a way that's exciting and fun at the same time. So that's good.
Yes.
All right. So as a reminder, this is an open call for anybody, any denizen who wants to come in and talk about things and stuff. You can also chime in the chat room, since we have chat rooms now. Go into Den and find the button. I just backed out of it, but sorry. Yeah, chat. You'll see on the right-hand side now we've got chat rooms, so you can put questions in there if you have them. And other than that, let's get to the agenda.
Yes.
So speaking of chat, are there any chat updates right now, or are we kind of just finishing up what we already talked about last week on that, or progressing on that?
I believe since we talked last, the system is now honoring layer blocks and bans in the chat interface, whereas before, even if you were blocked or maybe even banned, you could still come in and chat because they were separate services on the back end, and now they are rolled together for at least the blocking and banning, and I've seen it work. And you might have to refresh cache. You might have to log out and log back in to get to the latest, but in time, it's just a normal thing.
Yeah, and it works pretty nice too on where you maybe somebody isn't, you've blocked them personally, but they're not banned or anything like that, where it still shows up just like it shows up as a post, where it's like content. It lets you know. Yeah. It doesn't I guess what I'm trying to say is I like that it informs you that there's a post that it's not showing you. Whereas on other platforms, you might expect that it's just like it's good to have that, you know what I mean? And that works the same way as you would expect in chat. So I've seen that.
It's bad for someone with OCD because you could block someone to not have to deal with drama or stupid trolling, but you always still look at it anyway. It's like I see the button, I still have to open it. So it's stupid. But,
yeah, it is what it is. I prefer it. I prefer having a way to filter out without, you know, it's just we're dealing with something that's I don't know what I was trying to say just now, except that I had this herding cats phrase in the back of my head from when I was in the Navy. Everybody's always talking about herding cats, you know. I don't get offended by a lot of the junk that I see. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is it's not personal to anybody. Whenever I block somebody, it's just I'm trying to move on. But no, it's working. It's unfortunate that it's necessary, but you know, if we're going to build anything at all, it is necessary. So that's good that it's working.
Yep.
Other than that, that's probably all that's updated right now, is that additional functionality is working as expected. I think the inline posts aren't there yet, but they're working as well, it looks like, right?
Yep. And I guess something that should be mentioned is not on the agenda, but in relation to what's been released or being worked on, that we do have, Den does have the sticky DAO implementation rolling out. I don't know the current phase that is currently in production, but that stuff is rolling out between today and mid next week, where if you are, and I would welcome or recommend, I don't know what the right word would be, everyone to kind of look into that, because it's very, if you're in crypto and if you're dealing with Den and you're interested in DAOs, what they're doing with Den is particularly valuable, and it's what would you say? It's if you considered it feedback, it is a very positive feedback on what we've already built, because
there's and there's ideas flowing in both directions, because I'm taking notes from them. And Sticky DAO is seeing some things that are already being done that they want to use that maybe they hadn't thought of, or it's an easier way. They moved their whole, I don't know if you saw this, but they moved after some initial, some custom implementations with their layer, and seeing how everything's going to be working, they moved their staking feature all the way from Q4 all the way up to now. And put that out, and I was like, oh, see, there you go. That's great that you see the solution, and it's like, oh, wait, okay, I know we said Q4 because we weren't sure how long it would take us. Probably is the reason. Because
you have to be. I mean, staking. Typically that's
difficult and dangerous, right?
It's difficult, dangerous. You're trying to protect and do whatever your I don't know if you'd say fiduciary duties would be as a project, but putting how do I say this? I think there is even potential, even for a decentralized entity, there is legal risk in someone requiring someone to pay fees to an external network, even in order to put your tokens under the control of a smart contract, which I, as the project lead, might have some authority to do things. I could potentially kill that contract, or I don't know what their contract says, right? But
I know what you're saying, though, is the conflict of interest and the risk, and the maybe if you're a business, how do you ensure that?
And that's how, like, say I often wonder, and I always like in the morning getting ready, I'm like, damn it, maybe I should have, instead of building stuff, maybe I should just be crawling through code, analyzing it, and grabbing value that is legally present for me to access because someone made a mistake in their code. There's a lot of money to be made there, as we've seen with various projects, and a lot of it is directly related to that. The more money gets staked, the bigger target it is. Whereas
and exploitation is profitable.
And I would argue, even though we're a hybrid platform, that our staking is radically more decentralized and honorable than what is the traditional Ethereum world staking, where you're locking something in a smart contract. Because
this is where I'm really on board with rethinking how everything's done. And I could talk about that with Den all day, but with that particular concept of staking, not only do I not want to do things the way that's been done in the past, but even the way things are being done right now is still just the way things are being done right now. That doesn't mean that's the way it's going to work. I still believe this is just going to be what the internet is eventually. Nobody's going to be talking about blockchain anymore ever again, or crypto, or any of that. It's just going to be the internet. In a couple
and the great thing, in my opinion, is you think about the flexibility of, instead of saying, oh, this person staked a token in this contract and therefore gets these rewards. It's much more flexible and even universal if you instead say, you did this thing provable on chain, which gets you these rewards, which it could be someone else's contract, or it could be someone else's token, right? Where I don't have to tell you, you have to do something in order to get the reward. It could be anything that makes sense to my project to say, you know what, you've been involved in building other things on chain, therefore we're going to reward you over here. Come in here, use our stuff.
And that's one of the useful things with interoperability and transparency with the data that's on chain too, is that you can do stuff like that without you can literally just watch a certain contract, and say, yeah, go do these. We'll see it, right? Go do the things, and we'll reward you for the things. Which is pretty cool.
And it is counterintuitive enough that even in, like, say, early days of the time system, we had some. I don't even remember what project it was, where we had something where if you had a certain amount of time, you were able to do something. And one of our own engineers came and said, well, but the problem is I could just give you, I could look up, find an address at that much time, and I could give you that address. And I said, well, yeah, you'd be free to, but all of the rewards for doing the thing that you're trying to do would be going to whoever owns that address, right? And so it's an interesting, amazing thing, because if you don't actually hold that address,
you would have to sign that to claim that, though, right?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. In certain cases, you don't need a signature, because if we're saying we're rewarding the time, and you come in and claim someone else's address, you're essentially just giving them the rewards. It's an interesting thing, because they're passively controlling that address without even telling us that they control the address. It's just, we don't know who they are, but we know they control that address. It's an interesting, weird thing about it. So
yeah, and that's what, as somebody who's running a DAO structured effort myself, it's what you're talking about. That's exactly what the staking thing is supposed to be for anyway, is the incentive to get people to do a thing that improves or helps or benefits the community or whoever's participating in that system, that kind of way. So if we can do it in a way that is letting people hold on to their private keys and still get the same effect, and maybe even a more flexible effect, especially when you talk about coding things into like a Solidity smart contract or something. You can update the contract and make a new one in V2 or whatever, but there's a lot of stuff to do in a short amount of time, and so it's really cool that you can just hook into it and watch it, and then update your policy locally on what it means, like when certain actions happen.
Right, and that can even be under, like, the assumption is that a DAO vote would change an algorithm. It's like, oh, we realized there's an opportunity here, or a mistake that we didn't consider, an edge case or something. The DAO can correct that without rewriting a smart contract and requiring people to, none of that's necessary. You just say, oh,
which is exactly what we did with lore, just recently. You know what I mean? We had a case that wasn't accounted for, where a certain reward system didn't start on the date that it was allocated for the stuff that was allocated, and so you were left with assets, or all this lore that needed to be, something had to be done with it or not, and it was put up to a vote. We talked through it, we take input, and we came out with ideas in the end that I don't think went into it in the beginning.
And I can't remember the details on Sticky DAO, but I've been impressed, because they're going to be explicitly rewarding engagement in the governance side, where to improve the input, so they get more input, they're going to reward people with future events based upon how many times they vote. And they're also going to, on the staking, they're, in my opinion, as a guy who designs this stuff all the time, they have the perfect model for a very understandable, clean way to use time, because the longer you hold any of these NFTs, the more chances you get on, I think, some evolutionary, or some some things that will make it more rare or more valuable in the collection. It's just super interesting to me, because
I got to pay attention to their drop and make sure I get involved in that myself. It sounds fun.
I like it, a lot of it, because all the partnerships that it's like, wow, I didn't even know about a couple of these projects that they're partnering with. And like, that is just super, super cool that this stuff's all that's possible now, and assembling, and the fact that I've been interested in a lot of even the art side of NFT stuff, but have no time to evaluate which projects are actually worth getting into and all that. It's like, oh, I can just kind of
Yeah,
get involved with them. They know
and
what
then
they're doing.
having a system for them to self-evaluate each other and see where the value actually is. I noticed there's a layer called alpha that got submitted too for this LCP, and that's a term I didn't really hear before. The NFT communities and things like that dropping alpha. Here's what you need to, the first to know, kind of thing. So that's cool. I'm learning about that. I'm learning about a lot of things. That's what happens when you have a lot of people together in the same room, right?
Yes. Awesome.
So yeah, that's great, because that actually, there's a lot of this on the agenda today that just regards DAOs and what kind of tools are available to them. I have the reason I did want to talk about DAOs more today, not only because Sticky DAO is such a cool integration, and I'm excited for that community to come on board and start using this stuff, but also I've got at least one other person that I'm meeting with this week, tomorrow, and I've got more questions coming about okay, how can this work? I want to do this. I've got one friend of mine right now who I've known for a few years who's like, all right, let's pull the trigger, let's do it. So what I wanted to ask you about was when we go into talking about how a DAO might, let's say it doesn't exist yet, right? There's a difference between onboarding a DAO that exists and building one up from the ground up. And I guess it depends really on what your goal is, right? What you're trying to achieve. But I don't know, what are some things that you've had that you think are easy to do on Den that are not really offered anywhere else, that a DAO might be able to use pretty quickly, where it might be more difficult somewhere else,
Right.
And because that's kind of some of the stuff that I want to talk to about. We have our friend from LA who has a DAO group too, who is interested in one of the different blockchains and integrating it the way Sticky DAO is. Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about what all that looks like, and from the approach of let's say it's completely foreign, not foreign, but you don't know the person, and they come and say, hey, so I heard Den has got turnkey DAOs. What do I need to know? What do I need to know, and how does that work?
Right.
And that kind of thing.
Right. So I guess on the one side, sky's the limit on what you can do. Specifically would be when I say interop. A lot of people will think, and you look anywhere across the board in the blockchain industry, and you talk about interop, and there's some DAOs that might be interoperable with other blockchains, and that's a common thing where we can have our token on Binance or Solana, but we can have some other governance service that's effectively on Ethereum, or vice versa. And the thing that's, in my opinion, more important for most potential, I guess, for what might be 90% of the market that should be interested, is the ability to interoperate with more traditional systems, banking, to be able to accept credit card, or to be able, to take funds in and stow them in the DAO for use for political campaign, or who knows what.
A credit union DAO would be very interesting, right? That'd be
right.
That'd be wild.
It should be right. That you think about it, that's
an insurance company. Actually, an insurance company would be that would be that'd be dangerous. Somebody would come after me if I built that.
There's some there's a lot of big money there, right? No, but you think about all those things, and the fact that we can do that, the fact that we can interoperate with much more flexible and easy to develop smart contracts as well. So the fact that you could say, we need to be able to plug into this traditional world, maybe even interface it with some Facebook group. I mean, I say that's like the most ridiculous thing I could think of, but you could do that, and yet still have a smart contract escrow on Ethereum that would hold funds, right? And have
because that's kind of something I'm dealing with right now. Is we've decided, okay, cool, we'll just set up a multi-sig for the LLC. Excuse me, and we'll have that in a traditional bank account. But then it's we've got all these assets though, you know what I mean? So we've got some of it's Ethereum stuff, some of it's in Den itself, Matter, in the form of Matter, with
Yep.
decent gains. Some of it is on like Monero. I've been mining Monero a little bit, and so that's sort of like part of the Treasury startup capital. And they've got their own multi-sig solution now that's like separate. And so there are like, and we're using Session too, as a private chat like startup communications platform. And so there's all these like different tools that
and it's and the fact
could
that
be brought together.
We could also orchestrate a workflow if you need it on a smart contract because it's on Dragon Chain. So you can do, because it's on Dragon Chain, you can do a lot of things that you couldn't otherwise do. And so it's more than anything a software integration question when people come to us for very customized solutions.
Mhm.
But the out of the box answer is probably that well, anything's possible. So if you have something that doesn't fit into what I'm about to tell you, we can still do it. It's just there might be a further discussion, or is it how does it fit in, how's it paid for, whatever else. But
like if you had to draw a box and then figure out what where the lines went out of the out of that.
And we had because we've been talking about this a little bit, and at hopefully some very near to date point we will be publicizing a lot of this, because we're gonna it's gonna have to go up to a DAO vote. It's like, oh, here's how much, what this is and how much we're going to charge. Here's what this is and how much we're going to charge. That's going to be a DAO vote, but we're kind of as anyone as a member of the DAO would be suited to do, and it is appropriate to do, that anybody else could work on. It's like, I think we should do X. I'm going to propose it, right? Anyway, and that is that the entry level, I think we're calling it the standard plan, is literally what a layer is. So you have the LCP side where it's free, but you have to go through the LCP, and we would have a business side where if you have a business or an org or community group or whatever it might be, a club, that you can come in, you bring your own lore. There's going to be a charge that's going to be in Ether or Matter, and the Matter will be a discount, right? A good discount. So we would rather have you buy Matter or earn Matter and use that.
That's a good part,
that type of a plan. And that would essentially be that you bring your own lore, you distribute it based upon whatever model you want. Like you can look at WBRT, how they do it. You could look at how
well, like mine, I just did all the company holds all the tokens, and then we distribute them. So we have ours is a little bit different because it is more like a it's a different governance style than typical.
And the beauty is there are models we haven't thought of yet that
because like all of ours time out intentionally. We all of our governance decisions time out to give a full week for anybody to pitch in. And then so that's the standard, right? The next level would be essentially what Sticky DAO is doing, and a couple other projects that are coming in where they're saying we have our own token, and in this case an NFT, and we have split the NFT versus fungible in case there are differences. We don't know that there are any differences yet, but essentially any token that we already have interoperability with that other network, like say right now Ethereum and Binance, and I think we can do Solana as well right now. There are a couple that we don't have access to yet. That's why I put a couple of examples on there, because I know specifically one person I was talking to is on Solana, and then just what I saw in Miami is that there actually is an interesting and thriving community on the Wax blockchain, which I didn't realize that there's a lot going on right there that I didn't know about.
Yep, so, same here. Yeah. I've had somebody else in another group that wanted Avalanche and Wax included. So so anyway, that you would bring your own token, and there are some custom configurations around whether you use lot or not. Like say the standard that would come with this what we're calling, I think, premium NFT or premium fungible, that essentially you would still have to have lot, and the lot though does not vote in any of the governance issues, but it does affect Matter rewards. So if it's not a private layer, then people producing content is still going to result in Matter rewards and whoever holds the lot will get it. So you can distribute it among community and give them some extra incentive to, you know, bring content in or be active. And
okay,
else,
and so this would be useful, for example, like if you had an existing token and you're like, no, we have a governance token, we want to use that on your system. You just say, okay,
right
cool. The lot still works the same as it does, except for that one thing, and instead we use yours.
Yep, and that's already
that's cool.
That's already in place. We're working through. You know, this is the first time we've integrated it for an outside, and so we had some interesting design that we built in on the, you know, it's the back end interfacing. Pretty cool stuff. And then we have premium custom, where it would be, okay, we've laid these out, but you could literally come in and do something like what DENDAO has done. Like say where DENDAO effectively has, and because there's no existing semantics for this, I'm going to call them kind of like board seats, where we have 3 board seats, where you have one that is set aside for the founders, one for the creators, and one for the owners of layers. And
so they might each be made up of thousands of people, but there's 3 seats.
Right. And that's the beauty is, you know, the more you participate, because the creator and owner one has half of the vote based upon your behavior in that role, in that context. So it's not just a token vote. And essentially we did that so that you couldn't just have a whale come in and, you know, buy up all the lot or buy up all the matter and then have have too much influence, right? So it would require. We're fine if you do that, if you come in and follow the rules to measure your behavior. By all means, be a behavior.
You know, the thing with whales, man, I've gone from like whales are terrible and whales are just manipulating the market to like, oh, how do we actually address this? And well, okay, if that's something that exists in the environment, how do we design for that? And then, you know, in the end, I'm sort of sitting back thinking now, like, are whales even bad, or is it just like certain types of people make bad whales?
Yeah.
You know,
I think kind of more than necessarily being bad, I think they introduce risk.
Just okay,
other
that's
things,
a good way
right?
of looking at it. Yeah,
you know,
it's
some whales would be great.
Unpredictability and maybe less fair when they're involved. That kind of thing.
Right.
It's an interesting conversation, though.
You know,
I am. Good to see you.
Same thing. Yes, the same thing with, like, say, people who look at distributions of tokens, right? The more distributed it is, the, you know, generally healthier it might be. You know, if you have somebody who holds, I believe we do have current ability to integrate with Polygon. I'd have to look, but I'm almost certain we do. So yes, I think so.
Cool. It seems like you should be able to.
Yeah, I mean, it's all software, so you could bring up some network that we've never touched and don't have any existing knowledge of, and I guarantee we could integrate with it. It's just
I just meant
more expensive.
I was thinking of like what's kind of like relatively easy to do right now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because those are the big ones, right? That people are talking about, that I hear people talking about, is Polygon and Wax now, apparently, which I feel like it's coming back somehow. Maybe I just disappeared and it's been doing its own thing the whole time, probably. But Avalanche, Solana, it sounds like the big ones. The big ones are pretty like this. They're standards, right? You know how to hook into them. So.
Yep. Well, and by the way, a lot of them are pure knockoffs of Ethereum, just a different network. At least some of them are like, oh, it's the same contract. It's just on.
They're like a better Tron, right? No, I'm just.
It's not really a high bar, right? But
yeah. I'm just trying to stoke the fire a little bit. I actually love all of this stuff in every community, even if I joke some. Cool. Well, thanks for talking about that a little bit, because I've been kind of sort of wanting to see, you know, wrap my head around also, you know, how to package this for people, because like I know that we could sit there and code to anything, but packaging it for somebody where I can say, okay, here's what you. I mean, even to have something as simple as like, here's what you pay, here's what you get, you know, in different tiers or something.
I will say this won't apply to all projects. So, you know, some projects are very focused on the crypto world, obviously, especially wanting DAOs. But my goal would be to see and I don't know, you know, I could try to describe it right now, but I'm sure you could put together a few guidelines to describe this, but what I would consider a normie DAO, something that is a real world goal that is wrapped in a DAO that your grandma could join without any, it's like, if she can log into Facebook, she can join this DAO. If she can give money to her party of choice, she can put money into this DAO. And if we have that, and that's kind of the goal, because that's kind of a high bar, that's hard to do, but I guarantee we could do it. And if we can make that happen, then that entire world will open up, and it will be not just this niche product that is, still exciting as a niche product. But imagine if that, 4%, or I don't even know what the population that is capable of working in DeFi. And, I mentioned earlier, I don't even have a Binance address. So I mean, like, you can imagine normal people that, it's like, it's just too much to understand that you'll never make the world changing effect that is possible unless we say, okay, we have to open this up to normies.
Well, that's what this tool is all about for me, is harnessing the the value that is already, it's already being done. I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but it's already being done by Facebook and by Twitter and things like that. It's being done right now. And it's just that, it's being done behind people's backs, sort of like a sleight of hand or something. Yep. And so what I am aligned to the same goal, I guess. And I think, I've talked to a lot of people who see that, because I'm working towards that in Gainesville. I don't know if it'll end up being a different DAO than Decent Gains. I don't know if Decent Gains itself will become that, but what I'm working towards in Gainesville locally, I want that to be the first place that proves it. That's kind of my mission. Is I want this to work as well as it's working now, times a million. And I want that to start in Gainesville, and I want Gainesville to be known for that. So, that's a high goal, right? But I like to shoot for the stars, land on the moon, that kind of thing. But the simplest thing that I want, I want to have a show every month where you pay musicians and artists decently, fairly, just to play in town, to have a good time, locally focused, local musicians, local food trucks, local venues, you know what I mean? And that's a DAO. And it self-funds. Everybody pitches money in that wants to support local arts. Everybody, supplies the DAO treasury. You do fundraisers, right? You throw a show, you get some bands that want to play for free. You stuff the treasure chest. You go to a music festival. And the whole damn thing's a DAO. And it just keeps on living. And nobody can tell it who to hire and who not to hire. And it's just distributed art.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
That's awesome. I want to help.
Cool. So let's check out some of the other ideas. That's my idea. But what are some of the other ideas? Those can be found in the current ongoing LCP. So commitment phase is open right now. So you can go in, you can vote for stuff. You can commit your lore that you've been farming and staking automatically as a denizen. If you don't know, all the matter that you earn is automatically staked for you to earn lore. And that lore, even in turn, stakes more lore for you. So we heard you like lore, so we put lore on your lore. So you can lore while you lord.
Yes.
The mining layer is currently losing by lore, because the number one, if you remember this month, is not going to win by lore. So I think we're doing 8 and 13? Is that what we're doing?
Right.
So this month, to mitigate the whale effect, we've had a lot of the same layer winning over and over again, the top slots on both. So to make it more useful, why have two categories if it's not going to be different ones that are winning it? So to make it more useful, we're trying an experiment. And if we scroll down, we got craft beer. I'm okay with that. And science. Nope, that's 11. And everything tattoos. Beer and tattoos. I love it. I don't see what there's not. Everybody stop voting. Everybody stop telling. I'll tell you what. If we get beer and tattoo, I'll make a public on-chain promise right now. If we get beer and tattoos in the same LCP, if that stays the way it is, I will do a live stream from a tattoo shop, drinking a beer, getting a tattoo on Den. I've never gotten a tattoo before. I've did my first tattoo ever.
Will it be the Den logo?
I didn't say that.
But I think that's what it would require. In fact, you know what? If you want to really ramp up the marketing, then you would say it will be whatever the first avatar is for one of the two of those.
Whew. Well, then I got to think about location. I'll do that if I get to also personally pick the location where nobody can see it. But that's cool. See, that's exciting because now we were talking about this on coffee, and I was talking to Gravity Crab and to T Swift or Die about how this might work. And at first, it was like, okay, it was like, well, if I wanted preppers to win, I could just go and vote. Like the ability of a whale to still, affect it is what we were talking about. But like, it's going to be everybody pitching in at the same time, like a multiplayer game. So you're not going to be able to predict. Yeah, maybe I can move it up, by voting on it. But then somebody else is going to come in and vote, and then that's going to move it around. So yeah, it's hard to predict.
Every time I look at it, is different.
Yeah,
so it's been moving a lot more.
Oh man, what if the world ends and I've only got 4% in preppers though?
Yeah, that's not good.
Like that would be. I would need passive income at that point with the collapse of society, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think in fact we probably need to work together to get preppers created soon because. We're gonna need code words and things like that to deal in the future.
Okay, so I'm gonna right now live. I'm going to add. I'm gonna bump up to 12%. I want 1269. Nice. So that's how you vote. It's as easy as that. I've been staking on here and using Den for over a year, so I've actually got. I'm one of the people that I have to watch out for as far as voting and stuff. So I try not to get, and once these all get created, the percentages are public anyway. So I'm not that ashamed of showing off the numbers and stuff. But this is the interface. India is doing pretty good too. My share keeps going down because they keep getting more added to it. So,
I think it's probably winning. No, it's not. Mining is winning in unique voters. Huh?
Oh wow.
That wasn't before. India.
No, it wasn't.
Before.
It wasn't.
I won. So.
Okay. Oh, my mining went down again too. That's good because I started with like 43% on that, and that was way too much. I do want enough to give away though, because I want to do some promotional stuff. Yeah, like decentralizing this stuff is more important than holding on to a certain number of tokens. So I just want to have extra to make sure I give it to people that I know are genuinely. Oh, like somebody from World Blockchain. We got talking. I was talking to Flo from World Blockchain, or wasn't that his name?
Yep.
And he gets it. He's interested. After the show, we just kind of hung out for a minute chatting about it.
Nice.
And so I'll meet up with him again later and talk about it. And that's somebody who I would, there's layers I have right now where it's like, oh, dude, you should probably, have some of this because you would actually do something with it. So that's cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So we've got firearms, India, Japan. Den's got talent. GNU Linux, Modern Man. I liked Modern Man. That was a cool write-up. Men and women talking about men. Why not?
Is that I'm not gonna.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. And it's cool. That's cool. I like it so far. So unique voters, and then by lore. Sweet. Yep. So it looks like.
And by the way, the selection algorithm was set by DENDAO. So
yes,
number 8, number 2. I did propose it. It was my idea, but it was voted in. Anyway.
Yeah, those numbers were chosen before this contest. Yeah. In advance. Wait, did that just change already? Astronomy and astrophysics, astrophotography. So tattoos is out. Oh, I don't have to do it now.
I'll work on see if I can't game that.
Well, it's supposed to be more difficult, right? That's a good test.
It is.
It's supposed to be more difficult to game. I like that it changed right here while we were talking about it, though. Unless I misspoke earlier, but yeah.
What's the difference? It's a let's see here. I'm looking.
A difference 420 and 441.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna last.
Yeah.
I could change that right now if you want. Right?
Well, there's 3 in a row right there between 420 and 500. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 409. Between 400 and 500. India is almost in that same category. Yeah. Within 100K. Selfies are cool. That's competition for the all layer. Because the all layer is like almost all selfies. That's like, 30% of the time. I say almost all. I exaggerate like crazy, but
yes,
cool,
yes.
Cool.
It's good.
Yes.
I think generally a lot of people did not like the LCP process, but I friggin' love it because it's it's always at least something that's
Well, we talked about, like a minute ago, you talked about it's free, and if you do it the same way that's been done in the past, it's going to be a shit show the way it was in the past as well.
Yeah.
And so you got to do something to add some sort of gamification to it,
Yeah.
And maybe this isn't the final form, but it's something,
It's evolved like crazy. I mean, if you look at
sure. I remember doing the energy vote, the first one I did. Yeah.
The energy votes were really interesting because the game then was to come in at the 0 hour of, I think they were always like 24-hour periods. So you come in at the 0 hour.
Oh yeah, when it refills.
Put all of your energy in, and then let your energy refill, and then put it all in again.
I only did the last one that we did.
Maybe I did do that. I don't remember. I don't remember. I just remember that was fun. So
yeah, I guess that would be right around the time that I really got involved with Den. Would be right before that, a couple of months before that last energy vote.
Yes.
So it's been great to see, and that's good to think about and remember too, because even playing some of the ads now that explain some of the systems on Den are way out of date. And in fact, some of it was just like, the first where you could see your payouts was just because I was like, hey, like, I think I see what I can do with this. Can you just expose whatever you have to the UI so I can just see the numbers?
Yeah.
And literally, and this is how easy it is to work with Den. Is somebody wants something that's easy to do, and they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, I was able to do more because I had more information. And now that's metrics page is pretty, and there's more to it and being added, and then that'll just be enhanced with, I guess, V3 of that, I guess, would be the leaderboard and the layer metrics and all of that too.
Yes, which I'm excited for, because that's going to make it so that the layers have a little better feeling of their actual, they can measure the competition,
I like the idea of having a heartbeat and stuff there too. Some sort of a live-o-meter.
Yes. And something that hasn't happened yet is that I am also interested in the potential for failure. That some communities won't succeed, and how essentially the economics will, I think, help that, because for one thing, you'll be able to see. So you'll be able to see, oh, that should be a good layer, but nobody's really interested in it for whatever reason. I need to go in and change some stuff up, or maybe you have certain people burn their lot, say, forget this, I want the lore to put elsewhere, I'm going to burn the lot, and now the people who hold it is like, oh wow, now I have more of that than I would have ever thought.
My percentage just went up. Yeah,
maybe I should be more involved in that community, and it's just an interesting thing. So
there's a interesting couple of comments in chat. The automation of the LCP process, maybe we can talk about that a little bit, actually, since we're talking about it. And I wanted to say also, there's a couple of things, not to intentionally make this go any longer, but there's a couple of things that were not in the most recent prioritization vote that maybe we can mention here and see if we can think of anything that should go into the next one. Because once this first batch of features with chats and DMs and group messages and stuff is tidied up and published, then we're going to have another vote. And I already know there's certain things that aren't on there that we already talked about, like native video and the smart contract integration. I'm thinking like maybe that's a good time to do automation on LCP2 if we're working on that.
True.
The automation of the LCP would be kind of what we're collecting data to be able to write now, wouldn't you say? Like the way that this is sort of manual, that we go, we still go through the same motions that a contract would go through for evaluating and changing and ramping up or down how many win based on demand and things like that. So basically it's just going to be a responsiveness to activity, kind of, is the idea. The LCP automation is, if there's more activity, more demand, more voting during the LCPs, more people purchasing the fee-based if you didn't quite win but almost, things like that, and the behavioral metrics too, which are all going on under the hood on chain. All of that stuff, for anybody who hasn't heard us talk about it yet, all of that stuff is going to be used in a way. The important thing is we can use all of this data that it isn't people's personal data. You know what I mean? It's like all of this relatively sanitized data, I think all we know about people is the email address you sign up for, and I think you claim your public address with your Ethereum wallet, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to. You don't have to do that at all. And so what's cool, though, is you can still use all of this data in a way that's not dangerous to the individual, to the denizen, to build systems that work automatically and very well, and affordably based on it. That's the hard part for me to explain, and that's a barrier I have is I try to explain stuff like that to people because it's what excites me, and their eyes glaze over, and they're like, nobody so
yeah.
So cool. That's going to be that's sort of how I see the LCP automation going, just to kind of hit on that question.
Yes, I agree, and we've purposely kept some of that back because the sooner you automate some of that, the more rigid it is, and then that's when you find out, oh crap, we didn't think of that. And so we wanted to get through a few external integrations before we really resolved a lot of that. So that, in the end, yes, somebody will be able to say, oh, I want to create a layer. I'm bringing my money. I'm bringing my lore. I'm going to click that box. I'm going to, send in the matter or whatever. And then it's going to turn on, right? And now I would even have the ability to code something in an API, write a smart contract that might help, do automation inside of my own community, and that's all the stuff that's going to be there. It's already possible. So
yeah, I'm going to use that. One of the things I'm going to use the automation inside of the community for, I know, is I talked about how we're doing governance now where it times out and that's decided. I'll use automation to basically modify the governance on my own to say, okay, minus whatever decent gains holds, treat the rest as 100%.
Yeah, and we could probably, based upon what we saw with the most recent integration, you could probably go in there and say, here is and I don't know what, it's not a quorum, but there's a, if you just configure the relative supply, so it's not the real supply, but it's the supply that would be without my vote.
The governance supply, basically.
Yeah, and the funny thing is,
however you say that,
even on the well-distributed layers, we will still, even though it's free to vote, we will still sometimes only get like 30%
the participation
vote, right? So it's an interesting thing anyway.
Well, that's why I like what StickyDAO's doing, where they're incentivizing not only the governance process itself, but even showing up to claim your wallet is being incentivized, right? Yeah. And so that's a page that we can take from them because that's something that we have not incentivized on Den.
Right.
Not globally anyway, right? We're doing it for them, of course, but not globally.
Right.
Yeah,
we should, in fact, have a DENDAO governance issue that would call that out and say, hey, let's put together, in the very least, a lore bucket that's a reasonable amount that would reward people for creating governance issues and voting on them. And potentially with some level of evaluation of, if you create a governance issue that doesn't pass, maybe it's not rewarded or not rewarded as much.
Yeah, there would have to be some sort of, like the first thing I think of is some sort of reputation-based system that looks at how many you make versus how many pass. Because the first thing I think of is like, a GI farm, a governance issue farm, where somebody's just farming for making them and making them and closing them and making them and closing them.
Yep.
Like an IT support ticket list.
Yep. And we did put in like that, the energy requirement to create a governance issue, but we had talked if we see a lot of spam, and we have not seen a lot of spam, but if we were to see a lot of spam, then we would probably require people to put either matter or lore in. Maybe it would be lore in that case, to sacrifice if they are totally backwards.
You know how there's an open proposal from Dragon Chain Foundation to fund development of a like a ticketing? I don't know if it's the Git one or if is there a ticketing one too, like a trouble ticket system? Because I'm thinking like, what if GIs were literally trouble tickets, and the members were the employees that had to certify, yes, it's fixed, yes, it's fixed, yes, it's fixed. Yeah, and if enough people said, okay, yeah, this is fixed, then it's resolved. Instead of having like, I was just thinking of how common it is to have like fake IT tickets, You know, it's like
And
I got to resolve so many.
I know we will
way
need
off
it in the
topic,
future,
but it just popped
like
in my
say
head.
where we're doing the prioritization votes right now. That my assumption is that's also going to have to come with a process that runs through the DAO that both lets independent parties give estimates, lets the DAO decide which party is most reasonable, either by cost or the ability to probably succeed in building something, and then evaluating the results to say, oh, you provided this, but it's only 90% there. So
I want to do that I want to ultimately build a music festival that allows artists to self-register, and then the community to self curate. You know, and the artist would basically would literally be a contractor giving an offer.
Yep.
Because you have a music festival always has, like, you got a certain infrastructure, you got so much time, you've got certain conditions, and then, okay, what do we fit into that? So you can it's kind of a straightforward thing to say, here's what we got, here's all the things we've designed the festival, right? Now here's what all of those things, like, maybe you don't put prices on them, but you like, okay, obviously, you know, bigger bands are going to win these slots and smaller bands are going to win these down here. But how do you decide whose name is big and whose name is small on the list? And maybe that's literally what we're doing here. You know, it's what my vision is of that. And that's a process that, once again, you get that figured out, and then say it's a music festival. You know, now it's DAO Fest, and it is a DAO, and it just lives. And it just exists, and it floats around the world doing music festivals for whoever signs up for the DAO. And maybe that's what a ticket is to go, is a DAO membership. You know, that's earth shattering. Yeah. It's cool. I don't know about earth shattering. Earth will do just fine, but it's definitely disruptive.
Yes.
So
excellent.
Great.
Cool.
All right. It sounds like we've got a lot of good answers there. I don't want to take any more than the hour we've gotten under us so far. I've got to go get to my own. If anybody's in Gainesville listening right now, we'll be at Hardback tonight at start time of 8. And I'm doing an interactive demo, giving out a lot, just like I always do when we do the shows and stuff. I'll bring some merch with me. So if you have some matter, I know a lot of people do around here, that you can grab some mugs, got some Dragon Chain and some Bitcoin mugs and stuff like that. But mostly we're doing these interactive workshops where I will literally be proposing things in the Gainesville layer. So if you pay attention to Gainesville layer later tonight, you'll see like the banner will be flipping and the avatar will be flipping. That's just us screwing around for a workshop.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And then next month, I have not gotten the logistics down completely, but it's going to be from the same studio that we did our very first, like a year and a half ago, probably, test of a live stream on Den, where we had the full band up there and multi-angle studio thing. We're doing the same thing with an improv comedy show next month. And that will be live on Den. So that'll be cool. And that's depending on what we can sort of sketch out on that. I want there to be some advertising around that globally, and I want there to be a way for denizens to tip the performers on Den through Matter and stuff, you know, because that's the next thing. If live streamers could hook into also go live to Den as well as YouTube, as well as, well, Twitch doesn't like it. They actually ban people for being friends with any other live. If you go live at the same time as a different platform, they're like stingy about it. Yeah, really? Twitch streamers won't go live to YouTube and Twitch a lot of times because Twitch will turn off their monetization. They'll take money from them.
Oh,
literally, yeah. Because it's competition, right? So, in 2 or 3 minutes, what we never did that we said we were going to do. I know that native video is something that is slated for this year. Native on Den video hosting. That's not in the prioritization list. What else is maybe not in there that we can vote on the next round? Because I know there's some features that didn't make it in. Is that kind of the big one?
Anonymous is in there, right?
Anonymous is in there. Yeah, Anonymous is in there. And I think, I was thinking about what I said about hooking it into some kind of Tor network or something with the L1. I think we need both smart contracts and Anonymous before we do that, because then we'll have the tooling for it.
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking about what happened to Sea when they opened it up to, anonymity. We still have accounts, but still.
Yep. Yep.
So maybe it could be the only thing really is that one.
I'm sure others,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of little features that might. I'm hoping we can get something in that will be a fast build, and then we can have another vote quickly thereafter,
Yeah.
right? But
That's what I want. I want obviously the stuff that's useful locally with offline, because I do a lot of offline stuff. But I want stuff that can be done fast too, because the stuff that can be done fast are still huge. It's just that the way that you're able to implement it is maybe not as fast as other things.
right.
So, cool. All right. Well, we'll go through that when we go through that, probably next month or so on the vote. So that's all I've got. And just as a reminder, I wanted to say there's 4 shows a week on Den, and they're all live. And those hit Tuesday through Thursday. And you can find a list of them at the on all the posts that are like on Coffee, at the bottom of mine, at the bottom of the DENDAO posts. There's reminders for the other ones, and I think also on World Blockchain and all that. So just look at the list there, and you got links to the layers where they go to. I know I don't post mine until the day before, so Tuesday afternoon usually is when the Coffee one goes up for input. The World Blockchain and Super Happy go up way earlier to start getting input. Yeah, follow along with those. Like and subscribe. Share this to anybody who's interested in doing things like what we're doing. The more, the merrier. So,
Yes.
Thanks again, Joe.
And thanks for the input from I am. Good stuff.
I am happy to have him here too. Thanks. All right, I'll see everyone next time, and keep on keeping on.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A doctrinal approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.